go.
Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Football Show, presented by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. I am your host, Ryan the Doc. I'm here with the Dynasty Owl.
Ooh.
How's it going, Al?
Doing great. Another night of football, so
of course. That's what it's all about. We've got an excellent little show for you guys. We just recently did a Dynasty Buy Low show. Now we're coming with the opposite side of that spectrum. We're going to go with Dynasty Sell Highs. So, Alec, who do you like here as a guy that's been performing very well that you'd like to kind of unload while he's on fire here?
Yes, this is a guy where a couple weeks ago he actually could have been a buy low, but just quickly, like just did a 180. And I think it's because of the point in his career that he's in. That's Marquise Brown. So he's in year 3. We know he's a small speedster. We like him a lot, but still far from a complete player. But yeah, so he first couple of years pretty disappointing. Started this season pretty disappointing. Had like a 3-drop game. They draft Rashad Bateman. They bring in Sammy Watkins. They have Mark Andrews. They have Devin Duvernay. So some of the other weapons are decent in Baltimore. And I think Rashad Bateman's the bona fide number 1 here soon. But anyway, so Hollywood Brown just the last few weeks really comes on strong. Especially that 2-touchdown thriller against the Colts. All of a sudden, the fantasy points are flying up. Now everyone's getting on the Marquise Hollywood Brown train. He's still nice and young, and people are thinking, all right, this guy's here to stay. Well, he's still about 170 pounds. He still has hands, but I like him. Yeah. He's a good deep play threat. His game reminds me a lot of like a Darnell Mooney type who, we talk about, is a good waiver wire pickup, but the difference is, in Dynasty, people are willing to pay big right now for Hollywood Brown just because he is a young receiver attached to Lamar Jackson, and people are excited about that. But I truly think Rashad Bateman's the Dynasty receiver in that room you want. So in Dynasty, I think Hollywood Brown, a good sell high. But in redraft, I think he could still make some noise this year. He's on pace for a good season, and I think there's a decent shot he keeps that up. But he's my sell high.
Yeah, I like that take a lot because, Hollywood's looked really good. But, yeah, a lot of the things that you mentioned, the questionable hands, the slight frame. He does have an injury history, those soft tissue injuries and foot injuries as well. So not a great injury history to have for a receiver like him with his game or his skill set, I should say. And, yeah, I'm big on Rashad Bateman. Mark Andrews has been lights out. I just think that he's most likely going to come back down to a realistic level. He kind of already did last week. And, I agree. I think Rashad Bateman's the one I want of that group. But I will say I don't think he's going to fall off as much as he would normally because I feel like Lamar has really come along as a thrower so far this year. So I feel like that's where he might have a little better shot to kind of level out at a better level, but I do think he will drop off from where he's been so far this season for sure. And you can definitely command a lot for him as, a lot of people have been waiting for this kind of performance from him. So,
for sure. And for me, it's just crazy. He went from practically for a minute, he was like almost droppable in Dynasty to now he's like a hot commodity. And that's what we do here. You buy low and you sell high. So there was a time a couple weeks ago you could buy low. Now's the time you sell high.
Absolutely. Love that one. I'll go with a guy that I'm actually a big fan of. And he's a guy that I've had in a lot of leagues. He's been great this year. It really has been great this year. And this guy is Mike Evans. I think he's been excellent. I mean, he's been getting a ton of targets, a lot more targets than last year for sure. Still, the touchdowns have been there. So he's been a really solid option. I mean, the Buccaneers barely even run the ball, so there's plenty of opportunities to go around. I still think in terms of Dynasty, he might be the third one I want of the 3 receivers. Even though Antonio Brown's older, he's been absolutely incredible, and Brady just looks for him constantly. I think Godwin has had the best floor of all three of them so far. He's been consistent, just hasn't really gotten the touchdowns to put his numbers over the top. So I think Mike Evans to me is the odd man out there. I know he's big and has been getting a lot of touchdowns, but I also feel like that'll be hampered a little bit when Gronk returns too. Yeah, and at the end of the day, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, and he's been so good early. And there's been a lot of other reasons, like I said. I mean, the fact that they've been some high-scoring games and they've had these games without Gronk, I think it's opened the door for Evans to be great during the beginning of the season. But I think he's going to kind of level out back to where he was last year, where it's going to be like, you know, he could have good performances week in and week out, but I don't think he's going to keep doing what he's been doing. And I think he's got a ton of name value too. So for me, I'm selling him in dynasty formats, trying to get, you know, a nice package for Mike Evans, who I think realistically is on the way down if he's staying in Tampa Bay for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I agree with that take a lot. What's funny is I actually considered doing Antonio Brown as a sell high, because obviously he's had quite the history recently and is up there in age. But the problem is, I mean, he's too good the next year or two if you're a contender, too good to sell. But if you happen to be a rebuilding team and have him, then I think he'd be a good sell high for you. Just, you know, sell him to a contender. But oh wow, I think Josh Allen maybe threw another pick, but I don't think he did. But yeah, so I agree. I think Antonio Brown, like I said, if you happen to be a rebuilder, good sell high, but he puts you into contention with the way he's playing right now.
Yeah.
Also, just want people to know, if you've been listening to our shows this week, you know, I've been struggling, thinking these things were dying. They kept giving me warning signs. They officially did die, and you know, Zoom just flipped me right over to the normal computer audio. So shout out to Zoom for that seamless transition.
Yes,
even though it
thank
wasn't
you,
so
Zoom.
seamless when I thought they had died a couple shows ago. So that's all I got.
We'll see what kind of editing work the Commish has. That's gosh, that was freaking. No, it's not an interception, but yeah. Have fun editing this, Commish.
He's not gonna cut that out.
I hope he probably won't now. It's hidden in the show.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. So yeah, that's what I've got. I honestly do like Antonio Brown as a sell high too, even though he will be good. I think, you know, if you're not a contender, it's like you said, I think you got to move both of these guys. I feel like they're red hot right now, but I don't know. I just don't feel great about the long-term value of it. So I think, those guys are definitely ones you'll want to move. Anybody else you want to toss into that equation now, or are we good with the names we've listed?
I think we're good. Josh Allen just threw a 29-yard to Cole Beasley touchdown. So
I needed Dawson Knox, not Cole Beasley.
But no, that's all I got, Dak.
All right, excellent, Al. As always, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't joined the Masters family, what are you doing? Come be a part of the family. We've got every kind of fantasy football imaginable, and we do it well. And you know, you get to interact with guys like me in the Commish and Dynasty Owl. I mean, it's hard to beat these kinds of things. So, like I said, come be a part of the Masters family. Sell all those guys we just told you to sell, and we will see you next time. Al, any last words? Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Good night, folks. Good night.